So the other day I got a comment on my video where I talked about checking into Wilderness Lodge, which, by the way, I said Fort Wilderness a couple times and I apologize for that. Fort Wilderness has been on my brain with everything that's been going on with the new cabin, so it just kind of slipped off the tongue a few times. Hopefully there wasn't any confusion. Anyway, so I had mentioned that my check-in process was a little bit weird and that I checked in the app and I've been running into some problems, but I continue to do it just to see how it goes. And I got this comment and I wanted to talk about it because I've actually been working on this for at least a year now. But anyway, let me get to that comment so I don't get ahead of myself. So this person says, yeah, my check-in process goes the same way. I believe it's because I have my location services on only when using the app. The trick of scanning your magic band at the resort gate will get you your room number quicker. Honestly, I didn't get the building I wanted and I was too lazy to go back to the front desk, so on and so forth. But it's the trick that I want to talk about, because this isn't the first time that I've heard someone reference this trick of having your location services on and or using your magic band to scan in at the front gate or anywhere else throughout the resort in an attempt to get your room number quicker. As I mentioned, heard that tip about a year ago. And since we stay at a ton of different resorts throughout the year, I figured I would give it a shot and test the theory. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about it at some point, and this just seems like the perfect opportunity to do just that. Now, before I go any farther, I want to say, look, I'm just sharing my experiences based on what I have done. This isn't meant to push back on anyone, but I'm not sure that I buy that this is a hack or a tip that is worth doing. And I say that because, number one, I always have my location services on, especially in the My Disney Experience app, but I have arrived early at almost every resort stay that I have done. I tap in at the gate because I do drive to the resort, and then I tap in doing other things as well. I even went so far as to make sure during one of our stays that I tapped in at the pool and elsewhere just to get that magic band info flowing, and it really hasn't had any impact on how quickly I get my room. In fact, even going to the front desk and checking in hasn't had any impact either. That's actually true for the stay that we just had at Port Orleans. I mean, I say just, but it was a little while ago. I mean, in that case, we went straight to the front desk earlier in the day, checked in, let them know that we were going to be hanging around the resort, and our room actually wasn't ready until well after check-in time. So it really just depends on the resort. It really just depends on the circumstance, but I have personally found that this tip doesn't really work out. Now, why am I saying this? First and foremost, because I just want to share my experience, and like I said, I've been taking this into consideration for quite some time because I thought it was a super interesting tip that I wanted to test out. But also because I feel like this is one of those things that seems like it might be working out and it's just a coincidence. And while it doesn't really matter for me because I'm right here, I'm usually just spending the day at the resorts whenever I do have a resort stay here at Walt Disney World. For those of you who aren't going that route, you know, you're planning on doing something else, maybe going to the resort to check in is going to be out of your way. I don't necessarily think that I would recommend going out of your way to visit the resort in an attempt to get your room faster. I just don't think that it's going to make any difference. Again, with the helicopters, there's always something flying by. Now, for so many of you, you're going to go to the resort anyway. Maybe you're going to drop your bags off or whatever the case may be. And if that's the case, I think that there's no harm in checking in if you're tapping your magic band into the gate, or if you happen to be checking in at the front desk. I think that can be a great way to go. The earlier you check in, the better. I think that that's just a good plan no matter where you're staying, whether it's here at Walt Disney World or elsewhere. Generally speaking, I do get my rooms earlier here at Walt Disney World than I do at random hotels elsewhere in the country, but that's not always the case. So, you know, take that with a big ol' grain of salt. But I will say that if you're one of those people who is maybe planning on going somewhere else, not making your way to the resort first thing, maybe you've got your own car, you're keeping your bags in there rather than giving them to Bell Services, I don't know that I would recommend this little tip. It seems like a lot of extra steps, a little bit of extra time that just isn't necessary. But that's just me. Those have just been my experiences. Like I said, with all of the places that we've stayed over the past year, I haven't found location services or tapping in or even going to the front desk has that much of an impact on how soon I get my room. But again, I'd love to know what you guys have to say. I know some of you, including the person who left this comment, I think you visit Disney multiple times per year, so you have a lot of experience in this area. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that detail. I try to log as much as I can, but But yeah, with that being said, I would love to know what you guys have to say, what your experience has been, and just whether or not you find that using these tips and tricks actually has you coming out on top. I will say that Disney, generally speaking, does get you your room pretty quickly, more often than not. Whether I check in online or with my phone, I do find that I usually get my room ahead of time, although that's been another one of those things that has been hit or miss. But things are changing. A lot of things are changing here at Walt Disney World, and I think that especially with some of the perks that are coming in 2025, I don't think that we're going to see, especially when we're talking about rooms and how quickly rooms are ready, I don't think that we're going to see this improve over time. I think that Disney's probably going to lean into giving your rooms closer to check-in time, because I just don't think that they have enough people to turn the rooms over like they may have in the past. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on this particular topic. I'd love to know what you have to say, so pop it in the comments down below. I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me here in the parking lot on the roof of Orange Garage. I just wanted to get out in the sunshine. So, here we are. It is really toasty here right now. About 90 degrees outside, and it is somewhat early. This week is supposed to be a super toasty one, so make sure that you're hydrating, keep yourself cool, and have a great time, whether you're here or wherever else you happen to be. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and yeah, like I said, stay cool.